thoughts on this?
Well, the thing, Whoopi's wrong, though. You see, you know, when you go in public and you're talking about the history of precious Jewish brothers and sisters who have been hated for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And then you get the modern culmination of it with the Shoah and the Holocaust. And say it has nothing to do with race. She's just wrong.
Right.
She's just wrong. Now, where she was right was when she said it's man's inhumanity to man. That's true. That's a particular example of it. It's a glaring example of it. It's indescribable evil in the 20th century, right? And you could talk about the Congo with 15 million. You could talk about the genocide against Armenians by the Turks. You can talk about what's going on in Tibet. You can talk about what's going on in Kashmir. You can talk about South Africa and so forth. All of those are examples of man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah.
But to say that the Holocaust had nothing to do with race, she's wrong. So then is suspension justified? You know, that's somebody has to make a judgment about that. I think it's excessive myself.
You think?
How's it going, Mr. West?
How y'all doing there?
Hey, congrats on the billboard, of course.
Huh?
Congrats on the Black History.
Yeah, here's a visionary lady behind it right here.
Okay.
And that is my beloved wife, Anna.
Nice.
Oh, congrats. What are we expecting for the master class here, sir?
Oh, you're gonna get high quality of truth telling and justice seeking. That we following Brother Jahan. Jahan's vision is so deep and so pervasive in terms of how we look at the world through the vantage point of dignified black people holding up a bloodstained banner for truth, which means solidarity with oppressed people around the world, not just color, not just gender and sexual orientation, moral, spiritual content. That's what you have there. Look at Angela Davis' eyes. Just look at her eyes. You see what I'm talking about? Look at Nicole's eyes. Look at Jelani's eyes. Look at John's eyes. Look at Sister Ife's
Look at your
eyes.
smile,
Look
sir.
at your eyes and your smile. Well, no, I think I always view myself as on the caboose on the love train.
No. Hey, speaking of social justice, I'm not sure if you follow the NFL or football.
Yes, I'm with Brother Brian.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, yes. He's from Honduras and Brooklyn.
Right.
You don't get a deeper combination than that.
There's no joke in that, man. He's all serious.
He's all serious. He got vision. He's got integrity. He's got courage. And you know what else he's got? He's got a humility tied to tenacity. You know how rare that is in the world?
Do you agree with the whole NFL rule for considering black coaches in the NFL, the Rooney rule?
Well, the problem is that if they were concerned about quality, they wouldn't have to worry about a rule. Do you know that the black coaches, have been 17 of them, their average percentage is over 50%, the others about 35%. But anytime you talk about black folks, you're talking about low quality. They got to quit lying about black people. Quality and blackness go hand in hand in terms of the best of black folk. We got the worst of black folk, of course. We got black thugs, we got black gangsters, we got black mediocrity. But the basic tendency of black folk, high quality. So the NFL ought to be shame up itself. It's been functioning like a plantation, but now the chicken's coming home to roost.
Do you think Colin Kaepernick, he started off on it?
Oh yeah, I love Colin. But you can't separate Colin from Althea Gibson, Kurt Flood, all of those freedom fighters in sports and athletics and so forth. John Carlos, Tommy Smith. You see, anytime you see a black person, like when you see those folk right there.
Yes, sir.
You got to think of a great tradition. They are waves in a mighty ocean. You see this brother right here? This is the brother I'm talking about, Jahan.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wave in an ocean. His mama, his daddy, those who shaped him and so forth. Same is true with my wife, but we won't go into the Persian history right now. Because she's in
Thanks so much, sir.
I want to ask you, Kanye's talking about Black Future Month. What do you think Black Future Month means? Is this a good idea?
This Kanye West?
Kanye West. Ye West.
I always wonder whether that brother was my cousin or not.
You got the same style, sir.
No, but he's a genius in a way, but he's confused in a whole lot of ways. I don't know.
I'm tired of us saying that he goes down. I'm tired of us talking about slavery. So he says we need to have Black Future Month.
Oh, you know, Kanye's wrong. Kanye's wrong. That Kanye should recognize as an artist that every performance is the authorizing of a future in the midst of a present, trying to recover the best of the past. Black History Month is not about the past. It's about the past in the present that can authorize a better future. And you get that in Kanye's music, but you don't get it in his rhetoric. There's a sense in which his artistry is so much more profound than his rhetoric. It's true. It's true. When I hear Jesus Walks, and he wrote with Rhymefest, what do you get? Rich history of people. Black folk moving into the present with a vision for the future. 3 dimensions of time, past, present, future, they all go together. So Kanye thinks you can have Black Future Month without having a Black History Month? Tell that brother to get off the symbolic crack pipe and be true to his own artistic genius.
Let me ask you this. T-Pain is saying there shouldn't even be a Black History Month. It should be celebrated all year long.
It's true that every month is a month for each and every one of us, including black people. That's true.
Well, he's saying that they're separating us again, that we just want to be celebrated with history.
Yeah, but that's a wish. That's not the case.
Why is Black History Month so important?
It's required because white supremacy is still operating.
Yeah.
And as long as white supremacy is around, you're going to have the need to stress black love, black dignity, black history, those things that are being excluded and rendered silent.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's a kind of nice wish, you see, but we got to come to terms with reality.
From what I studied, Jesus Christ tipped over tables in frustration.
Yes,
Kanye West is beating up paparazzis and civilians, and he's preaching, and he's giving out the word of God.
Well, Kanye is a Christian like myself. It's just that, you see, Jesus was always in solidarity with the poor, the excluded. He wasn't into big houses, he wasn't into status, he wasn't into money, he wasn't into the worldly power. She was tied to a profound love project connected to a God who was love. So Kanye is a Christian. Again, I acknowledge his genius and things. I have a love for my brother, I really do. But I think we, in the end, have a deep disagreement in terms of what it means to be a follower of Jesus.
Let me ask you this. T-Pain didn't answer this question, but, you know, for people that don't know, how should white people celebrate Black History Month?
White brothers and sisters ought to be committed to truth and justice. The condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak. I don't care whose suffering it is.
Yeah.
And they ought to be committed to justice for everybody. So that when you're talking about black history, you're also talking about John Brown. You're talking about Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. You're talking about Tom Haight. You're talking about Ann Braid. You're talking about David B. Montgomery. Who are these? These are white brothers and sisters who are part of the Black Freedom Movement.
Yeah.
You see, it's like Bex Beiderbecke and jazz. You're talking about jazz. You're talking about Bex. You're talking about Stan Getz. You're talking about Chet Baker. You're talking about Coltrane. You're talking about Mary Lou Williams. So anytime you're talking about black history, it's not excluding white brothers and sisters. It's talking about a particular commitment to truth and justice that relates to this slice of humanity.
Should the Asians and Hispanics also be included in the Black History?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Grace Boggs. You all know Grace Boggs, the great Asian sister, who was at the center of the black freedom struggle in Detroit. Sister Koyama in San Francisco, who was Malcolm X's closest friend. She's straight from Japan. They go hand in hand. Absolutely.
I want to ask you this as well. Whoopi Goldberg is getting a 2-week suspension off. Is that warranted? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the thing, Whoopi's wrong, though. You see, when you go in public and you're talking about the history of precious Jewish brothers and sisters who have been hated for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And then you get the modern culmination of it with the Shoah and the Holocaust. And say it has nothing to do with race. She's just wrong.
Right.
She's just wrong. Now, where she was right was when she said it's man's inhumanity to man. That's true. That's a particular example of it. It's a glaring example of it. It's indescribable evil in the 20th century, right? And you could talk about the Congo with 15 million. You could talk about the genocide against Armenians by the Turks. You can talk about what's going on in Tibet. You can talk about what's going on in Kashmir. You can talk about South Africa and so forth. All of those are examples of man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah.
But to say that the Holocaust had nothing to do with race, she's wrong. So then is suspension justified? You know, that's somebody has to make a judgment about that. I think it's excessive myself.
You think,
but the point is, it has to be a teachable moment where it refortifies us to be in solidarity with anybody who is suffering. I don't care who it is. Jewish, Palestinian, Arab, Muslims, Irish, Italians, black folk, indigenous peoples across the board. That's the great tradition of morality and spirituality that we got to learn from the Holocaust, because, I mean, in the face of the Holocaust, you had to be silent first. And you got Roma, Gypsy, so-called Gypsy, disabled, German communists, German socialists. I mean, all of those were part of the concentration camps, but the concentration camps were targeting Jewish brothers and sisters. That's the gangster mentality of a fascist named Hitler, you see. And so we have to just be committed to telling that truth and then fighting against any form of injustice tied to it. I know I have to run.
I know you do. If 2 weeks isn't warranted, what do you think is, and how do we sort of go about these things when people say the wrong things?
Yeah, see, I don't specialize in punishment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't really know how to punish people. I think she has to be rendered accountable. She has to be pointed out that she's wrong. And so
Sharon Stone got fired. I mean, Sharon Osbourne got fired.
Got fired. What did she get fired for? What did she say?
Well, her comments were kind of in the same realm of this.
Same kind of.
It's controversial.
Really?
So,
yeah, I'm not really into firing people like that. You're pointing out they're wrong and making sure that they really have to reassess and rethink. But people make decisions who are in positions of power, and some kind of accountability is appropriate. There's no doubt about it. Definitely. Whether 2 weeks or you get fired and so forth. I'm not into canceling people. I'm not into censorship. That's not my thing.
Right.
No. I'm come out of the black tradition. Our anthem is lift every voice.
But how do you see change when somebody does something wrong? Because in high school, if you do something wrong, you get suspended. In work, you get suspended. If you are caught driving too fast, you go to class. I mean, how do you handle something? Why is it different for celebrities, I guess? People are very fired up over this.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer to that. That's a very good question. You just had to have some accountability. The worst thing we have, I mean, we're living in an increasing neo-fascist society. And so neo-fascists like Trump and others, they say anything, do anything, no accountability, no sanctions, no answerability at all. I think they can get away with doing anything. And see, that's the worst thing you can do with anybody.
Yeah.
The worst thing we can do to ourselves, let alone anybody else. And so celebrities must be accountable, the politicians must be accountable, we must be accountable. You're absolutely right about that.
Do we take into consideration, like a lot of people say, nobody thought that she said malice and she's been very supportive of the Jewish community. So, I mean, do we take her apology?
That has to be taken into consideration. I think so. Because I don't think that she has any hatred against Jewish brothers. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Whoopi? No, I've had a conversation. Not at all. She's not anti-Jewish. Just misunderstood, made a big mistake in terms of understanding this major historical event, this vicious, indescribably evil Holocaust.
you have been the best interview I've done, and I've done this for 20 years.
Is that right?
I'm telling you the truth. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed hearing you.
You are just so kind, but I know I'm going to have to go with my wife and things.
My God, good.
Thank you so much, Cornel.
Blessings.
Blessings to
Indeed.
you, sir.
Y'all stay strong.
Again,
Indeed.
congrats on the masterclass.
Sorry for the wait, guys. I'm sorry.
What media are you? TNC? Yes.
Lord.
You guys have a beautiful day.
TNC fame and
Hey.
fame.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed.
All right, thank
God
you.
bless
Thanks
you
again,
all.
guys.
God bless you.
Congratulations. Happy
To Stevie's on Pico, what should I get?
You should definitely try our seafood gumbo. Gumbo, if you're not familiar with it, it's more of a stocky soup made out of a roux, which is like flour and oil, and it does take a long process to make, but once it's finished, it's a beautiful dish. We add king crab legs in it, we have smoked chicken, and smoked sausage. We actually put 2 types of sausage in our gumbo. We do an andouille sausage that's very traditional in New Orleans, and we also add beef hot link in it, which makes it so flavorful and savory. And then we add like shrimp and the king crab. It makes it sweet and salty and fully loaded.
Wow.
So I definitely recommend trying that. Also, that's super close to my heart is our fried chicken. We smoke our chicken first, then deep fry it, so it's super flavorful. As soon as you bite into it, it's like a burst of smoky and just hot fried chicken.
Sounds delicious.